Hello, here is some help on homework 3-4 that some of you have asked that I complete a couple of problems, just giving you an idea of how to do these problems. So here is a given polynomial, and we are to write the function in any form that would match this function. So we see that the end behavior of this graph is going to be that of an even function because both arrows are pointing in the same direction. So we know that when we add the multiplicities of each of the factors of the x-intercepts, that it should end up being a degree that is of an even number. Okay, so what we're going to do first is deal with our x-intercepts first. So we don't know what the coefficient is, the leading coefficient, so I'm going to put an a as a placeholder for now, but we do know that we have a x-intercept of -5, so when writing the factor I have to write it opposite in sign, and we have another x-intercept occurring at 4, so I'm going to write x minus 4 as its factor. Both this x-intercept and this x-intercept have a multiplicity of 2, because if you notice that area, the graph approached the x-intercept and bounced off the x-axis. And when there is a parabolic shape occurring at that factor, or that x-intercept, it's going to have a degree of 2. So let us put that. And that makes sense, because if we add 2 plus 2, we get a 4, and that takes care of the even degree and behavior. Now, our job now is to find the leading coefficient of A. They gave us the y-intercept of 600, okay? And 600 has an x value of 0. So 0, 600 is my y-intercept. So what I'm going to do here, let's see if I can split screen this here and use my whiteboard. We are going to do some math. Now I'm writing on a vertical surface right now, so my handwriting may be a little messy, but I will do my best. So our f of x, which is our y value, it is a 0 because our y-intercept, let me see, my y-intercept is 0, 600, I said, right? So as far as x and y notation, this here is the x value, and this here is my f of x value. So I am going to substitute that into the function that I have. So f of x is 600. So 600 equals the a, the leading coefficient I'm looking for, and then I'm going to do 0 plus 5 all squared, 0 minus 4 all squared, and now I do the arithmetic. So 600 equals a, 5 to the second power is 25, -4 to the second power is 16. So 25 times 16, so let's see, do we have a calculator around here? I thought I had a calculator on this screen. Okay, I don't. Well, let's do some multiplication by hand. 30, 18, 21, 5, 2, 4, 60. All right, so, all right, okay, let me pause the video, get a calculator, because I am going to end up dividing by, oh my, I can't multiply. Let's try that again before I grab a calculator. 6 times 5 is 30, carry a 3, 12, 13, 14, 15, 5, 2, 0, 0, 3, 400. That's a little bit easier. Okay, so I think I can do that. 600, and I'm going to end up dividing by 400 on both sides, right? To isolate my a. And so those zeros cancel. 6/4 is 3 over 2 is my a value. So all I need to do is come over to this side and replace my a value with a 3/2. And you're done. Don't worry about distributing. Leave it just like that, and you are done. Let's see if my multiplication came out right. So, waiting. Seems like my internet connection is a bit slow. All right, there we go. So that's how that problem or that section is taken care of, okay? Now, let's go back to the other one. So this section now. This section is asking you to plot the graph given the function, okay? So we have been given a f of x equals, let's see if I can do this again. Let me write in blue. All right, f of x equals 2x squared times x minus 5. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we need to find our x-intercepts. That's the first thing we're going to find. So x-intercepts means we take our factors. So this is going to be one factor right here, and we set those factors equal to 0 and solve for them, okay? So my first factor was 2x squared equals to 0. If I divide by 2 on both sides, I get x squared is equal to 0. And then if I square root x squared and 0, I get x equals plus or minus 0, which we all know is just x equals 0. So there's one x-intercept that I got. And then we'll do the other one, x minus 5, set it equal to 0, add 5 on both sides, so x is equal to a positive 5. Let me do that a little better. X equals a positive 5. So let's box that in. So as far as x-intercepts go, let's plot that. So I have a 0 and a positive 5. Okay, so those are my roots or my x-intercepts. But I also need to get my y-intercept. So let's find the y-intercept. So the y-intercept, you have to remember the formula algebraically is, or the characteristic algebraically is that the x value becomes 0 because it's on the y-axis. So if I take my function that was given to me and substitute 0 for every x, and I do the arithmetic, I will find what my y value is. So I do order of operations that says 0 squared must be done first. So 0 squared is just 0. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. But 2 times 0 times negative 5 is just 0. So my y-intercept when x is 0 is just 0. So I'm going to come over here and put another dot, and it's already there. So the 0, 0 is also being shared as an x-intercept. And that happens. Sometimes the x-intercept and the y-intercept are the same number. Okay? Only at 0, of course. Now, what else do we need? I think that's about it. We need to make sure we decide what kind of degree we have. The degree is the sum of our multiplicities. Well, our 0 had a multiplicity of 2, right? So I'm going to put little clouds around that. And our 5 had a multiplicity of 1. So when I add those multiplicities, I get a degree of 3. So that means the end behavior, I'm going to put EB for end behavior, is that going to be of an odd function. And because it's odd, we know that it's either going to go end up and the right end down, or the left end is going down and the right end is going up. Now, which one's it going to be? The way you know is by looking at the leading coefficient. The lead coefficient, which we've been referring to as the A value, okay? And so the A value, we just use that letter. It doesn't really mean always that it's going to be A, but the A value is a 2, and 2 is greater than 0. And so since it's positive, we know that the right arrow must go up. So this is what our end behavior should look like. Okay? So now that we know that it's going to go down on the left and right on the up, we know the multiplicities at our zeros. I'm going to hit the done plotting, and I'm going to start drawing. Okay? Now, because it has a multiplicity of 2 at 0, it has to have a bounce. So I'm going to start here at the bottom. I'm going to come up and I'm going to bounce right there. And then I'm going to go straight through that graph. Okay, whoops, and I need to redraw. Don't do arrows like I just did. I know I'm using a pen here. It's so much easier than just using your finger, but it will draw the arrows for you. So notice it had a bounce at 0, because of the 2. And then it goes right straight through the 5 because it has a multiplicity of 1. And the end behaviors are done. So I'm going to hit submit. Yes. And there's your answer. Okay. I'm going to do one more just in case, since this has been the one that's probably causing people to work the hardest. So let's start first by plotting our factors. I'll make this a little faster. So we have the x plus 1, setting it equal to 0, so x has to be -1. I would put a multiplicity right next to it right off the bat. So this has a multiplicity of 2. Okay, that's my first factor. Then x minus 4, set it equal to 0, add 4 to both sides. My next dot's going to be at x equals 4. It also has a multiplicity of 2. Then x minus 6, set it equal to 0, x equals to positive 6. It has a multiplicity of 1. And so once you have all your factors, you know that the degree can be found by adding the multiplicities, so it's a 5. Okay, so because it's a 5, my end behavior again is either going to be up, down, or a down arrow, up arrow, because my degree is odd. So I go look for my leading coefficient. My leading coefficient is an invisible 1. It's in front of x plus 1 squared. So since my leading coefficient is a 1 and it's greater than 0, I know that my right arrow has to be going up. So it's going to be that one. So what else do I need to find? Y-intercept. So let's scoot this up a second and let's calculate the y-intercept when x is equal to 0. So f of 0, which means what is the function when x is 0, the function value? Well, 0 plus 1 squared, 0 minus 4 squared, and 0 minus 6. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is just a 1. 0 minus 4 is -4. -4 to the second power is a 16. And 0 minus 6 is just a -6. When we multiply 16 times -6, we get a -96. So I'm going to plot a dot at 0, -96. And that's my y-intercept. So let's go do that. Let's plot. Intercepts. X equals -1. X equals 4. Let's try that again. And be as precise as possible. Okay, x equals 1, x equals 4, x equals 6. And then it was, what was it? 96 negative. So let's go somewhere around here. Should be close enough. And then we know the left side is going to be a downward arrow. The right side is an upward. All right, so we need to do these bounces. So there's a bounce at -1, at 4, and it goes right through the 6. All right, so let's see if we can do that. So I'm going to click Done Plotting. And now I'm going to start drawing. So I have to come from the left, and I have to bounce at -1, which is my first one. So I'm going to come up to -1, and I'm going to bounce off of it. Do not cross over that x-axis. And I know I have to go through this y-intercept. And I need to do it again. Let's try this again. I have to bounce, come through the y-intercept, and then I know I have to bounce again at 4. So I'm going to come up, bounce at 4, go down as far as I want, and then go right straight through. And let's make sure. -1 has a bounce, 4 has a bounce, 1 goes through, and my arrows are doing what I set it to be done, and I think we're good. Oh, Lord. All right, let's redraw. You have to be so careful. Okay, let's do this again. That's not touching. So make sure it touches. I'm going to be paranoid here, and I'm going to make sure it touches again, because if you don't really touch the x-axis correctly, okay, I think that's good. So I am going to carefully go submit. Let me make sure you guys are all seeing it. So right there, you notice it's a bounce, and then an m = 1. And so it looks good from left to right. And submit. And I'm trying to say yes. There we go. Now I can make my screen smaller so it won't mess up. Okay, so I hope that has helped you a little bit more understand how to do these problems. Of course, reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.